Thank you, Maria. We will call this Policy Advisory Council Ad Hoc meeting of June 13th, 2024 to order. And Maria, I think we still do roll call even though it's an ad hoc meeting, right?
That is correct. So good afternoon, everyone. I will call the PAC members' names, so please let me know you're present, or we can also look in the chat. So we'll start with Dave Barron, People's Gas, North Shore Gas. Kimberly Bond from Ameren, Illinois.
Hi, Maria. It's Billy. Kim is out this week, so I'm present.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Billy. Jay Shu from ComEd. Seen her area is
Linda Rhodes is on. Yeah, and I was going to say we'll follow up with her.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies. Irene Showaniek from Nyport Gas.
Present.
Thank you, Irene.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara Skilson from Illinois Area Agency on Aging. Okay. Julie Gilling from City of Chicago, Department of Family and Support Services. Wanda Hopkins from South Austin Coalition. Rob Carr from Illinois Retail Merchants Association. Mariana Osoria from City of Chicago, Office of the Mayor. Roger Pavey from Illinois Association of Community Action Agencies. Ryan Robertson from Looters, Robertson and Consen. Yvonne Ricaya from Citizens Utility Board. Terry Vaniter, Mark Sanders II from City of Chicago, Department of Family and Support Services. Terry Vaniter from Department of Human Services. Chris White from Will County Center for Community Concerns.
Here.
Thank you, Chris. Stacy Wilson from Illinois Municipal Electric Agency indicated to us that she's not available. I think, however, Mike Genning was gonna replace her today.
Hi, this is Rod Welpley. I'm sitting in for Stacy Wilson.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Rod. Appreciate it. Kevin Wright, designee representing independent energy providers. And last but not least, David Warman, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Maria.
And I think we have Eric representing People's Gas. So I will continue monitoring the chat for PAC members' attendance. Turn it back to you, David.
All right. Thank you very much, Maria. And thank you everyone for logging in this afternoon. We wanted to have this call because I want to present the benefit matrix, the LIHEAP benefit matrix for program year 25. And there with the lid on the natural gas side, it's a complicated, different than it has been in previous years. So we wanted to have this call and present where we're at. So let me get here and start. So here's the agenda. We're going to do an update to say where we're at in the current program year 24. Then I'll go over the 25 funding, talk about the benefit matrix, and then the impact of lids and the way it's caused us to tinker with the way that we do the benefit matrix. So we'll do that. First, I want to start with, this isn't on the agenda, but I want to thank ICA for being the proponent for House Bill 4471. There was language in the Energy Assistance Act that there was a sunset clause that would have seen the fund be sunsetted at the end of the year. And ICA worked to get a House Bill 4471 passed. It passed both houses at the end of last month and is on the way to the governor's office. So for the governor's signature. And I think we have something like 19 co-signers. So I think that speaks to the fact that the LIHEAP and specifically the State LIHEAP Fund has a lot of support. So thank you for running that, Ika. And now we'll jump in. I've been saying for several months now, probably since January, that it was looking like the benefit levels that we set last year with the connected assumption of how many people would come in, how many clients we would serve, that we were going to run out of funding in several of the agencies throughout the state. So this map is showing county by county where funding has exhausted or is going to exhaust, or in the case of the county shaded green, that will make it through August 15th. So you can see that it's kind of a hodgepodge. It depends on the area of the state. This was once again last year, we had to estimate how many people were coming in. We estimated 324,000 to set our the matrix, and I don't know where we'll end up. We're still taking applications and anything that's blue or green. So we'll see where we end up at August 15th, but those locations in red are have run out already. As I present this year's, I'll talk about what we're trying to do to make sure that next year we can get through to August 15th. These slides will be sent out just so folks can have that too, so everyone knows where we're at. This is a slide that you've all seen before. This is the total energy assistance funding that we've had the past since 2019 and what we expect next year and the year after. The thing to show here is that, as we've talked about before, the funding level is coming off of the COVID, the high years of COVID. And this year, we have 82% of the funding that we had last year. So that's what we've been expecting and known about for a while. The passage or the ICC orders last fall that created the lids on the natural gas side have really been extremely beneficial in our setting of the benefit matrix, and it's made it where we can, even though we're experiencing a reduction in funding that flows through us, the impact on our clients is going to be, I'll show here that generally speaking, the impact is very positive for all of our clients. So these are numbers and how I do the budgeting and the projecting for our funds. The way that I do this, up top, we have the sources of our revenue, and then down bottom, the uses and the way that we spend the money. In the middle here is the state fund calculations to try to make sure that we're using as much of the state fund as we can and make sure that we don't leave funding there to be stranded. So the thing to notice here, I said that we have 82% of the funding last year. So that's down here. We're setting our regular LIHEAP and our total program to try to spend that amount, to try to spend, around 82%. So up top, once again, the budget, we have something like 219 million available for us for client benefits. These numbers are all, well, the budget and the uses down here are all client benefit numbers. So that 82% is, it's what we have to live within. That's the funding that we have. So I talked about the number of clients and how we ran out of funding in different agencies this year. So next year, we're assuming an increase of 20% in the number of clients that come through that receive benefits. We don't know what that's going to be. We are taking where we started running out this year and saying if those agencies hadn't run out of money, how many would they have been serving? And we kind of projected that through the summer. It's not a highly sophisticated way to project, but we don't have better numbers. So next year we're looking at serving 388,000. Once again, a 20% increase. And if you take that together, we have 18% less funding and 20% more assumed clients. It makes it where our average benefit can only be 69% of what it was last year. So last year, or I say last year, it's program year 24, which is still ongoing, but the program year 24 average LIHEAP benefit was projected to be $732. I actually checked this yesterday. I think it's going to end up being a little bit higher, something like 740. But anyway, around 730 to $740 per household for the average benefit. Next year, we're going to have to be down around 500 because of the funding decrease, but the assumed increase in clients. So another thing to show that 500 average benefit for the LIHEAP client is going to compare to something like $925 for the average PIP client. This number is a little harder to for us to say exactly what it's going to be. The PIP clients are going to, the PIP clients that have natural gas as part of their benefits are going to see the lid as well, the discount. The discount is going to be on 9 months. So there's a lot of moving parts. And then clients could decide because of their lid on their natural gas side to drop off a PIP and take a LIHEAP benefit because that might be more beneficial to that household. So it's hard to say what the number of clients and the average PIP benefit will be at the end of the year. But these are our assumptions leading us to say that we'll spend something like 24 million next year on PIP. So the dollar amount and there is some math behind this, there is some analysis, but we're assuming 925 for the average PIP benefit versus 1,300 this year. But it just should be noted that on average, the LIHEAP benefit is going to be $900 versus $500 for the LIHEAP. So there still will be a difference, but you really have to get down to household by household to see what the full impact is. And then the last thing to say is that the program year 24 and fiscal year 24 is ending here in a few weeks, and we will be spending more than the 80% required to trigger the meter charge increase. So we will be triggering the meter increase this year. I don't know that we'll end up at 95%, but we're certainly going to exceed the 80%. And then we are projecting next year with the budget and the assumed funding that we're going to have, that we will trigger that again next year. So 82% of the funding, the benefits have to be 69% on average per household. So it would be looking pretty bleak, but now we have the lids. And the lids, even though this year they're only on the natural gas side, it's still very beneficial to our low income households. It makes a huge difference. It requires that we rethink our program design and the way we set the benefit levels. It makes it more complicated for this creation of the benefit matrix. But generally speaking, for our clients, they're extremely beneficial. It makes it so we have more flexibility with the design, given the lids to the natural gas clients. So the benefit levels that I'm going to present today, it's part of, since lid has passed, I've said that we're going to have a bumpy couple of years as we transition from the way that we have been doing it to a future where we're doing it a different way. And I continue to believe that it's going to take a program redesign, and that all of the stakeholders here on this call need to be involved in discussions to determine what that program redesign is going to look like. But for today, and what I'm presenting here today, I just want to state that this is a period of transition, and the benefit matrix that I'm going to show is something that I believe will work for next year, but the year after that, we're going to have to reassess because there could be lids, there could be electric lids at that point. We could learn things from this year. So this benefit matrix that I'm going to show is it's our best analysis and the way that we feel that we can most equitably serve clients, but it is part of a transition and not something that is what we believe it will be long-term into the future. So this is a benefit matrix. I showed something similar last year. I'll go over how this, if you've never seen this, there's a lot of stuff here, so I'll try to explain it. So the top table here, these are families that are 0 to 50% of the federal poverty level. This just shows for a household of one, that's a 30-day income of between $0 and $608. So this is tier 1, 0 to 50% FPL. Down here is the tier 2. Then you go to this next column, and the top rows in green here are for all electric houses. The second are for natural gas houses. And then the third is propane or fuel oil. And then the bottom line is if it's a cash household. So that's someone that's a renter that doesn't pay it directly, but it's part of their rent. So that's how you determine depending on the fuel source. And then across the top here, this is for a household of one, a household of two. So as the household gets bigger, they get a larger benefit. So this is the benefit matrix for 25. And then this is same thing, but for tier 3 and tier 4. And as I said, we'll be sending this out so folks can look at this later on their own. But the thing that I want to zoom in on and focus on is the natural gas and the way that we handled the benefit level for natural gas. So the thing to look at here, the entire household benefit for both sides is in green here, but the primary, which is the natural gas side, the benefit level is $125, which is a very low number compared, last year, I think I got it on the next slide, but it's up around, 1,000 or something. So we had to greatly reduce the benefit level for the natural gas side because those clients are going to see that are on the lid utilities are going to have a great benefit from the lid. So the bills for this tier may average $250. So that's something like that. So we have to have a much lower benefit on the primary side. And then the secondary is electric. So that remains a higher benefit. So the numbers that I want you to look at here, remember for all electric 910, natural gas 750, and propane 1750. So on this next slide, I collapsed that. So this is the 910 for all electric, 750 for natural gas, and 1750 for propane for a one-person household. So this is the program year 25 tier 1 benefit level. So I'm going to put up the program year 24. So here you see that the natural gas last year was the 1,260. This year 750. So if you look at this, then down here on the bottom, I put the difference from last year to this year. So last year, a single household, all electric, got 840. This year they get 910. So 910 divided by 840 is 108%. So they're getting 8% more than last year. And you go across here, so all electric is getting 6 to 8% more than last year. Propane is getting from 15 to 3%, but the natural gas is receiving between 40 and 50% less from our program. It's not what the household experience is, but what flows through the state and the local agencies is 40 to 50% less than last year. So the next thing I did then is we have clients that are natural gas clients, but they're not on a utility that has the lid. So we have non-lid natural gas clients and we have lid natural gas clients. And if you talk about what is the impact at the household level, the tier 1 natural gas clients, the average benefit statewide is going to be something like 79%. Nicor and Ameren are at 75% discount. Peoples is at 83. So if you take a statewide average, it's 79%. You apply that to what the bills were on average last year, and you get something like $1,128 benefit. So the impact on their monthly budget is the 750 that we're providing, and then you add the 1128, and down here a lid household is getting a 49% to a 12% increase in benefits from last year. So the lid natural gas client is left much better off than previously, and they have a higher increase than any of the other categories. But the non-lid natural gas clients are truly receiving 40 to 50% less in tier 1 than they received last year. So the impact for lids if we continued with a single LIHEAP matrix, they're very beneficial to the majority of clients. Even with a decrease in the direct funding that flows through us, around 97% of our clients would see an increased benefit versus last year. So the lids, the highest benefit does go to the natural gas lid utility customers, but the benefit levels are able to be slightly raised for all electric and propane because of the funding being freed up for the lid natural gas clients. And we're really sending, on the natural gas side, we're really sending as much money as we can to the lid natural gas clients. We couldn't make it much higher because we might be leaving a lot of credits on their monthly bills. So we're sending as much as we can to the natural gas lid clients, but we're able to increase everyone except the 3% of clients, and those are natural gas customers of non-lid utilities. They'll see decreases of 50 up to 50% for tier 1 clients are hurt the worst. As you go down to tier 2, 3, and 4, they still see a decrease, but it's much smaller because the discounts are smaller. So the impact is it reduces. So the people who are the most impacted, the most, I would say, damaged by the lids are the tier 1 clients of non-lid natural gas utilities. So I think that it's safe to say that this was an unintended consequence, that this portion of our clientele would be harmed by lids if all natural gas clients were treated uniformly. So what the solution to this, and the way we're going to handle this, is that if non-lid natural gas clients, if we treat them differently than the lid natural gas clients, and we keep them at the PY24 benefit level. So I would call this like do no harm or hold harmless these clients. So if we do that, the increase column here is the difference between the PY25 benefit matrix that I showed earlier and last year's benefit levels, or program year 24 benefit levels for natural gas clients by tier. So tier 1, the 750, on average, it's around $600 less. That $600 increase to the program year 25 matrix to keep this group at last year's benefit level. So if you do the math on the number of people in this category, it's 13,000 statewide. You see the amount by tier here, and the total dollar amount is less than 3.4 million. And of that 13,000, a vast majority, 68%, are on utilities that pay into the state fund, the largest being Mid-American. So Mid-American has something like 4,000 clients that received LIHEAP this year. They're paying into the state fund. And if we didn't do this, they would be getting that decreased benefit. So this creating a separate benefit matrix for this this portion of our clientele, this 13,000, the benefit matrix would look like this. So this is the rest of these numbers, the all electric and the propane are the same, but the natural gas numbers are last year's program year 24 benefit matrix. So program year 25 matrix for non-lid natural gas clients. So this is tiers 1 and 2 of the matrix. This is tiers 3 and 4. So I want to show what this looks like in the same manner that I showed for the previous, for the program year 25 regular. So we have the last year's numbers. And then this year, you see the non-lid natural gas has the same numbers as last year. The lid natural gas have the numbers that I showed previously. So you go down here to the percent change from last year. You see that the non-lid natural gas are at 100%, meaning that it's the same benefit as last year. And the lid natural gas are shown as having a higher benefit. So doing it this way, what it does, it keeps the non-lid natural gas the same. All other categories, the other 97% are all going to see an increased benefit, with the lid natural gas clients seeing the largest benefit. So this is the solution. We've spoken with our IT folks, and we can program this into LIHEAP.net. We'll need to work with the agencies to make sure that they know how to handle this. But this is the proposal for program year 25 and how to handle lid for the natural gas on lids on natural gas side. So that's my presentation today. I'm available for any questions or any comments that anyone wants to make. Roger?
David, thinking down the road, when the low income discount rates are in effect on the electric side, we need a better and more precise way by household to be able to calculate benefits so that we're meeting that energy burden target of 3% on each side. That's going to take a big software lift if I am understanding correctly, right? Like we couldn't do that today if we wanted to because we don't have the software.
That's correct. Last month I was at the NUAC conference and gave a presentation on what low-income discounts are going to mean for the Illinois Energy Assistance. And that link was sent out. So I think everyone on this call should have that link to that presentation. And that's exactly right. I think that we need to start having stakeholder meetings and discuss how to design the program given lids. And it's going to take an IT upgrade. Right now, we do PIP through STARS, but I think that trying to do 350,000 or 388,000 clients through our current STARS PIP IT system is not possible. So I think that we need a new IT system. And I think that benefit levels are going to need to look at household by household, because when you start getting energy burdens down to, I think we can do better than 6%. And when you start getting energy burdens down to 4%, 3.7%, then if you use averages, it's much more likely you're going to leave credits on bills. And I mean for like the entire year. So, after 12 months, someone may still have, $25, $50 of credit, and then they start into the next year and get another benefit, and that could keep going. So I think what long-term, what we're looking at is designing an IT system that can implement a program where we receive, so it would be similar to our PIP program, but we would, have the IT power to do it, where we know what this household's bill have been or are projected to be, and then design the benefit to reflect a percentage for that household. And that way we would make sure that we're not leaving credits at the end of the year. So yes, we need, the lids are going to require that type of effort.
And going to a formula rather than a matrix, that formula could also then take into consideration credits that were sitting there from previous benefits.
Right. If we have, for the communicating utilities, I see that, we're going to need to know as much about that, like we're either going to know, right now we know what the next 12 months are going to be with our PIP program because they're on budget bill. Maybe that's the way we do it, or maybe we know what the previous 12 months were and project that, or I don't know. These are discussions that need to take place, but it needs to be at a household level. Now, we still have something like 10% of our clients that aren't on a communicating utility. And so I think for those, we're still going to need some sort of either benefit matrix or benefit equation that estimates what that household's usage would be, and then provide a benefit according to an estimate. So I don't think that we'll ever get to the point where we have 100% where we communicate and know what that household's bill actually is. So we're going to need to have, for the majority, the 91%, to have the communication and have a household specific benefit. But for the remaining, we'll need to do it some other method.
How long does it take to develop a software system?
Well, we're 2 weeks away from launching our weatherization, our new weatherization system. I started that in COVID. I remember in August of 20 having meetings about that. Now, that's because the process you have to do, you have to come up with the program design that you want and what you want to build. You have to put together the documents for the procurement. So you need to do a work scope, and I don't know I'm not an IT guy, so I don't know you have to know the what you want built, and that's going to take us a while, because that takes the stakeholder meetings that I was saying that we need to have with this group, where we come together and decide, yes, we want this, and yes, we want it designed like that. Communication with other state agencies, we need to define what those are. We need to talk to those state agencies and make sure that we can do it, and then put all that into a document that we then use for some sort of RFP. We may use a master contract that DoIT has with a developer, or we may need or have to go out for a bid. So the putting together the criteria and the plans I'm from construction, you'd call it plans and specifications. To put all that together is going to take 12 months. And then the build, depending on how complicated our build is, that can take 2 years. So I think we're looking at 3 years, 3 years from now. And that's what I'm talking about when I say we're going to have a bumpy few years, because we're going to be using LIHEAP.net and STARS PIP to administer these the programs with lids in place, and they weren't really designed to do that. So like 2 benefit matrices is not, it's not ideal. It's not what we would have wanted to do, but we have talked to our IT folks, and it is possible. So that's where we're at, and that's why we're in a period of transition until we can get that new system built, and we're going to need everyone's input as we do that.
I think there's a couple of things that probably need to happen rather soon then. One is forming a working group, and the other is we all need to engage in a communication process on the low income discount rates.
Right.
I don't think there's a very big public awareness or even a community action awareness among staff about how this is going to work.
Right. Yeah, I asked Jim Agnew on the call for a call after this to talk about whether that process, how that should happen. Is that something that that DCO spearheads and just says, let's meet, or does it need to be something more formal? So that's what we need to get that process started. Any other questions or comments?
David, Linda Rhodes from ComEd has her hand raised.
Okay, I didn't see that. Linda?
No problem. And thank you. Hold on. Fixing my double audio. Okay, thank you. So, David, forgive me in advance because you covered this. I want to make sure I understand. When you were talking about the benefit matrix, you showed the kind of first way, and the first way leaves non-lid gas with less than the previous program year. But the second way you showed it, it keeps them whole. It leaves them at 100%. So my question is, for the second way, when the matrix that keeps them at 100%, does that make the benefit less for anybody else than it would have been in the first way? I understand the benefit's still going to be more for lid, but what I'm trying to wrap my head around is what changed that kept non-lid at 100% in the second scenario.
So I'm always transparent. It's $3 million. And we're dealing on $3 million out of $220 million. And the amount that we have for lid is, or the amount that we have like in PIP is 24 million. That 24 million, I would say, is plus or minus 4 million or 5 million. I don't know. Probably minus 5 million, like 24 we think is too high. So I did not completely redo the calculation because of this assumption of $3 million, because I would say that our projections are that is within the what's the MOE, the measurement of error. That's finer tuned than our model is tuned. So it's a very, like what you're asking is a very insightful question. And, to do it, if my projections were tighter and we knew for sure that 388,000 were going to come in, then I would need to recalculate. But frankly, the variance between the number of people that are going to come in and the number of people that are going to drop off PIP and those type of things make it where $3 million is less than, is an amount small enough that it didn't require a full recalculation.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. It was a good question.
And David, Jen Martin from NICOR has had her hands raised as well. And
All right.
as well.
Thank you. And David, thank you very much for putting this all together. We're all kind of going in here trying to figure out how the lid is going to impact our costs for our customers. And we know this is a good start, but I do have a question. So we talked about the benefits going forward. And if we talked about it, I apologize, I missed it. But did we talk about any of the reconnect assistance? Because as we know, lid starts October 1st and only covers bills going forward. My concern, and I'm going to talk specifically just for NICOR, is, we're going to have customers who may need that RA. We know with our new vendor agreement, and NICOR has been doing this, where we've been holding customers' accounts from being disconnected while they wait for their LIHEAP grant. where we're running into issues where RA is not being processed for these customers because we're holding them from disconnection. That is the concern because it is kicking that can down the road for these customers with these larger bills. And we're just kind of wanting to know, is there going to be a process for customers who are not in severance, but would be if they were not for this hold, or, our low income customers who are on a DPA who are getting assistance to be able to tap into this RA, because the discount is not going to help pre-lid balances.
I think I'm going to hand that off to Maria or Leslie Ann with next year's RA and the way that's being handled.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Maria. I can get us started, and Leslie, and feel free to chime in. So one of the other thoughts internally, and this is going to be on the state plan that the draft state plan that we will be presenting to the PAC in July meeting. We talk about increasing the reconnection assistance dollar amount instead of $1,200 up to $1,500. And again, it could be used for both utilities. And if the customer doesn't have not tapped into the entire availability amount, they can always, we can always do a manual additional array up to that threshold. So to go back to your question, Jen, still we would be running into LIHEAP.net, waiting for the utility to tell us if the customer is in imminent threat in order to calculate that reconnection assistance benefit. So going back to your question, I was curious when, right now we know that, for these customers that are on DPA, and they are taking out of collection activities, you are not sending us that imminent threat because they are not technically in collection. So I think we're going to still run, unfortunately, into that. So I don't know if others have any other thoughts.
Well, Maria, I would just, and we don't have to make this decision today because I know this is just discussion and we have the big PAC meeting in July. But I would like to look at that and potentially even look at what we did for COVID, where if there are a certain amount, I think it was $300 during COVID, the utilities would automatically code it as imminent disconnect with or without a disconnection notice. And that just makes it easier for the customers to get the funding without having to wait for a disconnection, because we are trying to put all these holds on, and wasn't our vendor agreement. We're trying to prevent these customers from being disconnected and even have the stress of having to get a disconnection notice to go in. So if we could talk about that further, I'm not saying we have to make that decision today, but just other options and what we can do to help these customers.
And thank you for bringing that up, Jane. I think, like David said, now with the low income discount rate, it's a new world. So definitely we all are on the same page of trying to help, the best, these households. So we're more than happy to, have that conversation with you guys, and before we put any draft, out there. So definitely we'll follow up, and continue the discussion. So yeah, thank you.
Roger, your hand's up again, I think.
Yeah, to Jen's point, have you considered ICA's request to raise the RA amount, the maximum, David?
I think, yeah, I mean, Maria,
1,500 is what we think would work with the budget.
1,500 per side, right?
Yeah, okay, that's great. And then, we've got a House Bill 4118 prevents disconnection while LIHEAP application is being processed. That's on its way to the governor also. The intention of that bill was not to, prevent RA assistance. So we're going to have to think about how all that factors together. I think it's a great question, Jen.
Hi,
Okay.
This is Leslie Ann. That is a very good question, Jen, and we'll put our heads together and meet with you if we need to ask any additional questions. I know that you're having those issues right now, and we want to do whatever we can to make it easier and, try to, like you said, keep the customer away from the stress of having to have a disconnect notice. And I mean, everything everyone has said makes a lot of sense. So we'll see what we can do. I don't know that we were thinking 1,500 per side. I think it would
Oh,
be
it was
still a
total?
15. Yeah, I think it was just 1,500 total. So I better make sure that gets on the recording. But we'll definitely look into it. I'm trying to think of some things that we can do, like ways that we can write it into our state plan a little bit differently. And then, of course, we still have LIHEAP.net, which is so old and we can only do so much with it. But we do have a new developer. That's good news here. Now we have 3 people supporting LIHEAP.net instead of just 2. Yay. But we'll work on it. And thank you for bringing that up, Jen and Roger.
So Leslie Ann, can you educate me? And probably most people on the call know this, but if it's 1,500 total, can one side get 1,500 or is it limited to 750 each side?
No, one side could get 1,500.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I see a couple questions in the chat. Patrick Murphy asked, what about alternative suppliers? I think they're treated as any other supplier, right?
I don't know.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Hi, this is Troy with the AG's office. I just put this in the chat, but under the HEAT Act, the alternate suppliers, can't sign up like PIP customers unless they can show that their price is lower than the price to compare. So for purposes of this, it doesn't really affect it. There are those lid customers who fall, above 200% FPL, but below 300%, who get that last discount. And that came up, I think, in like the NICOR case, and I think that's sort of being worked out, between the parties there. Or at least I think that the alternate suppliers were talking to the companies about that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Trey. Thanks for answering that.
Thanks, Trey. Yeah, that's
Uh,
great. I see Arian has a question, and how will the non-lid natural gas be calculated when all lid utilities launch? I think that's a little far into the future. We don't have that figured out quite yet, except you did mention we think there might be some kind of a calculation that will have to be done.
right.
Is that what you said, David?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this year we're handling it, and I really feel like the way I think about this lid, and this is for lid clients I'm talking about here. Lid still, it's great, but it leaves it leaves I don't know what I call them little cliffs where there can be a great difference between someone at 49% and someone at 51%. So I think we need to design our program so that the funding that we have, the energy assistance funding, kind of levels out the differences that the lid leaves. But for the non-lid natural gas, like this year, we're handling it by having a different benefit matrix. In the future, the way I think about it, and this is to be discussed, but the way I think about it is that it would be good to look at it on an energy burden basis and try to equalize energy burden. And what that means and exactly how it would be done needs to be discussed and talked about. But the answer is that we're doing it this way this year, but that doesn't mean the way that we'll be doing it in the future because we have to have those discussions. So, are there any other, I don't see any other hands up. Are there any other comments or questions?
David, this is Mindy. I've got my hand up, so I don't know what's
Okay,
going
yeah,
on, but
I see it now, yeah.
I have a couple of statements.
Okay.
somebody was asking about the numbers and you were talking about the 20% increase is what, we don't have a magic ball to look into. But just a reminder, in case anybody on this call doesn't understand or know, that the low income discount rate can only be applied if they receive LIHEAP. So that 20% could even be low if somebody finds out they could get a good savings on their monthly bill if they would sign up for LIHEAP. So as community action agencies that's been involved in watching this, we understand where you're coming from as far as 20%, but that could be, to everybody needs to understand, we could be bombarded. As the agency, that it looks like 10% of the total non-lid customers in the state are mine, because I have 1,400 households that are non-lid customers. I truly appreciate for them the work that is being done. I know 3% across the state doesn't sound like much, but whenever that you look at it as 1,400 households in my 4,000 square mile, that's a lot. And so I just want to say thank you for the fact that this is serious and that you are understanding that. And another thing that I wanted to make the statement about, the formula that we're discussing that is using usage, actual usage, and how to come up with that. We've found out through NUAC and talking to other states, that is quite common for them to calculate the usage into the benefit. So we know it can be done. It's just a matter of how we get it done for Illinois. So those are just things I wanted to bring up, and thank you for all of this work. I know it's been a trial.
All right, thank you very much, Mindy. I appreciate it. All right, last call. Okay, well, seeing no other hands up, we will close this PAC meeting and adjourn the PAC meeting, and we'll be talking, I'm sure, soon, but if not before, at the PAC meeting in July, where we will approve the state plan. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.